everybody. It's Hank Linderman here. Here at Getting Angry. It's Thursday, September 17th. Let's check on how things are out at the lake here at Rough River, out in lovely Falls of Rough, Kentucky. It's a beautiful day. Summer's just about finished. And I hear some motors out there, so we might get to see a boat go by. We'll stick here with us for a second, I guess. How are you all doing? My name's Hank Linderman. I'm running for Congress here in Kentucky's 2nd District, all 21 counties. Davis, Hardin, Warren, Bullitt, Nelson, Barron, Boyle, Meade, Mercer, Breckenridge, Grayson, Hart, Hancock, LaRue, Washington, Garrett, Jessamine, Greene, Edmondson, Butler, Spencer. I've been to all of them. Got friends in all of them, I hope. And I'm very happy to have you all here. We have a very interesting day. Bill McNichol is here, and of course he's asking you to please share. That's how we spread our message. That's how we get out there to the world in this crazy time of COVID, of the pandemic that, most of us thought this was only going to be, a month, 2. It's probably what it should have been. Barbara Ticci's here. Hi. Mary Richardson is here. Hildegard Pyle is here. Chris Pritchard. John Schott is here. And I'm getting a junk mail call right now. You just heard the ringing. Larry Schott is here. So you all are sharing. I guess I have to keep hitting the share button. And here's what I have to say to the person who's trying to call me.
Now wait just a damn minute.
That's right. Wait just a damn minute. I'm trying to get some work done here, and that's not fair. Hildegard says there's no sound. Are you all getting any sound? Hildegard's got no sound. I think we got sound, right? Anybody hearing me? Okay. Well, I'm going to hope you're hearing me. Replying to Hildegard, I have sound. So if one of you's got sound, then hopefully Hildegard will find the issue. Restart your phone. Restart your computer. You know how it goes. Anyway, let's get a quick look at these numbers that unfortunately we have to keep looking at every day, and we are over 200,000 deaths, 201,348 with 1,151 new cases. What I want you to look at today is look at the total cases per million. In the United States, we have 20,600 cases. And our deaths per million, that's 20,603 cases per million people of population. We're closing in on 7 million cases. But deaths per million is 608. Just a few days ago, it was 600 cases per million. So that's not a great look. We are increasing. I said yesterday, it looks like we are at the beginning of a third wave of the virus. Now, this is a little tricky to look at. Actually, I should have looked at this one first. California, Texas, and Florida continue to lead the way. But what I want you to look at is look at New York and look all the way over at deaths per million, 1,700 deaths per million. And then down, look at New Jersey, 1,800 deaths per million. And cases per million is also very high. New York, 24,669. Arizona, 28,000. New Jersey, 22,000. So try to keep those numbers in mind if you can for a moment, because now let's look at this. So Massachusetts, deaths per million, 1,300. Cases per million, 18,000. And look, Massachusetts is pretty far down. That's number 18 in all the states. We got a couple of other states that are showing some problems. Look at Iowa. And all the way down, you can see Kentucky, which, although it's doing better than the rest of the country, it's still on an upswing. So this is not good news. A lot of this is driven by people who simply don't want to wear the mask. And I hear this from people all the time. They don't want to wear the mask. I don't know what to say. Unfortunately, here in Grayson County, we have a sheriff whose family caught the disease, caught the COVID, and the sheriff was the one who got it worst in his family, and he's let people know through the local radio station, this is no joke. So, looks like James Conrad Warren is here, and he said he just tested negative for the second time. And that's good. I know a lot of us are wanting to get tested. I would like to be able to get tested, but I don't know what my options are around here. I know in Owensboro, I can get a test. In Grayson County, I don't believe I can without symptoms. So anyway, we have something else related to this to talk about, related to the idea of not wanting to wear a mask. Look, the mask definitely cuts down on your taking in droplets that are floating around in the air. And it also cuts down on the amount of droplets you put out into the air. Plus, if you're keeping socially distant, you're outdoors, you're doing a good job and protecting both yourself and other people. I'm looking at this scary message from Mary Richardson. We had something very bad happen over the weekend. Some knucklehead threw a seashore house party. This is in New Jersey. 8,000 non-masked people attended. Well, Mary, at least as long as they weren't drinking, they were probably fine, right? Anyway, we have other problems that we are going to be having to deal with that are going to require cooperation from a lot of the population. So this is a story that I found at ProPublica, and I would strongly suggest you all get a look at that. This article, I'm only going to be able to touch the surface of it, and it's got lots of maps and things that show what's going on in the United States. But the key point to this is you have to believe that human beings are affecting our climate, that the fires that we're seeing in California and Oregon that are putting a plume out into space that can be viewed from satellite, that this is something that is definitely related to human activity. I don't have any problem believing that myself. You can't burn, 16 trillion tons of fossil fuels, most of it in the last 30, 40 years, and expect it not to cause problems. So our temperatures are rising, the water levels are rising. I'm just going to show you a few of the graphs from this story. This is the first one. They're a team of researchers. Boy, I'm having a tough one with the words today. Researchers modeled the human climate niche, the regions where temperature and precipitation have been the most suitable for humans to be in for the last 6,000 years. Greener is better, more suitable. There's a lot of it in the United States. Look at that. Let's look at the next slide. And there's the most suitable zone. You can see there's a little bit of an outline there, and it includes Kentucky. Kentucky's right there in the middle of it. That niche today blankets the heart of the country from the Atlantic seaboard through northern Texas and Nebraska, and includes the California coast. So here's what's going to happen. By as soon as 2070, that zone is going to move north. Now, it looks to me like Kentucky is still in a suitable zone, but Mark Maselli says there's going to be a mass migration to Kentucky. We'll see about that. The scariest one that I saw is this, and this relates to high wet bulb temperature. So it's high temperature and wet. And look at that. Kentucky is going to be in an area that's going to have unprecedented high temperatures and high humidity, which is going to be very, very difficult for all of us. All right, Cindy Braun says South Dakota had its highest one-day death rate yesterday, with new cases at 297, with a breakdown of 8 kids under the age of 10, 40 between 10 and 19. Oh my goodness. This is a dreadful, dreadful message. It's going to end, of course, we know this, when we go Godzilla. We know that we need to shut the country down. We know that's what we need to do. But look, we've got to move on. And I need to get us on the phone with Mark LaPalme. I want to show you, this is Isaiah House. We're going to call Mark, and Mark is the founder of Isaiah House. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. Oops. See if he's here. There we go.
Hello, Hank.
Mark LaPalme, how are you doing today?
I am well, my friend. How are you today?
That's always a dangerous question. Here in the time of COVID, we're looking at, by the way, a screenshot of the website to Isaiah House. And I wanted everybody to have an idea of what Isaiah House is. And in a second, I'm going to switch to your picture so everybody can get a look at it.
Uh-oh. Okay.
It's quite a handsome picture. Let's see.
The best I could do.
You look very good. Your hair looks like it had just been cut.
Good.
Now, you're probably having trouble.
COVID for sure. Yeah. Yes.
It's tough to get our hair cut now. We have to find a friend with some scissors and sit on the porch and wear masks and all of that stuff. Well, look,
Absolutely.
I met you. I was very fortunate to meet you because I got invited. I think I was kind of a stowaway on a visit to your board meeting. And that was an eye-opening experience for me. I think that was in late spring in 2018. And eye-opening for me because I had not really understood the job of a rehab facility. I had not understood the scope of the problem. You know, you can read about it, but when you start to see the measures that are required to deal with addiction, it was quite humbling and informative and startling, all of it. But I was inspired by your group, and I continue to be inspired by you and your dedication. Could you please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Isaiah House?
Sure, Hank. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. So I am in long-term recovery. I was raised in a very, very good family, and I was a Boy Scout. And at the age of 11, we saved a young man's life from drowning. It was three of my friends, and two of us saved the third friend. And the third friend, a few weeks later, offered us a joint. And that's where I started my journey. So it started with me. And look, everybody's journey is different, right? Everybody's pathway into addiction and out of addiction, I think, is different. So when I speak about just my path, my journey. And so I became addicted at the age of 11. I was a polysubstance abuser, which most of us seem to be today. So there wasn't any substance that I was particularly against. If anything, if it was around, I would do it. I've done heroin, I've done mushrooms, I've done LSD, methamphetamine. My drug of choice was cocaine. That was what I preferred, but I just really, Hank, enjoyed getting high. And so I wasn't the typical person maybe that you would think about, as someone who would get high. I come from a very good family. Mom and dad were married for 54 years. I was raised in the same house I was born in, did a little time in the Army. But I would also try to commit suicide twice. I would overdose twice. And I would be in active addiction for 27 years. So from the ages of 11 to the ages of 38. I would go through 13 different treatment centers, be arrested about 40 or 50 times, sentenced to 6 years in prison. I am currently sober 21 years now. So it's been a wild ride. When I got sober 21 years ago in 1999, it was kind of a miraculous event. For me, it was a spiritual event. It was a culmination, I think, or an epiphany of my 13 different treatment centers, and in meeting a God that I felt like was real. And so that moment was July 1st of 1999. My wife and I would take in our first person August the 17th of 1999, and we opened our home. We knew how deep the problem was, that in our surrounding counties in the Danville, Kentucky area, there were really no homeless shelters or treatment centers. We didn't start out to become a treatment center. We really started out to become a rescue mission of sorts. And between July of 99 and Christmas of 99, we'll have about 17 people that'll be living in our home with us. And over the course of 2.5 years, we'll have almost 300 people that will live in our home. And we've had everything from pregnant women to families to deaf people, blind people, train hobos. So we've had a variety of people just stay with us, and we would just love on them and feed them, clothe them, try to get them jobs and that kind of stuff. And it didn't go well there. I did get in trouble. You can't just move 17 people into your house in Danville. And so I was arrested. I was fined $8,500 for running a halfway house without a permit or a license. And that opened the door for other things. And so a couple out of Maryland in 2001 donated the first Isaiah house. We would move in there November of 2001 and take in our first person in 2002. And today we have about 300 residential, actually 203 residential beds and 100 transitional living beds. We've got every level of care throughout the spectrum, so it's not a specialty sort of treatment. So you're not just probably going to come to us for detox. We do withdrawal management. We do partial hospitalization. We have intensive outpatient, and 3 different terms of residential treatment. And the reason we did that, Hank, was because of my experience in drug treatment. I would do a 28-day stay somewhere, and they would complete me. They would give me my certificate of completion, and they would hand me off to another group that would maybe do my partial hospitalization or my intensive outpatient or my outpatient. And I always did well in treatment. I completed all the treatment programs that I ever went to, but there was no continuity of care. There were just too many silos that had been created. And when you create those amount of silos for an addict, those are opportunities for me to kind of find the weak link. And I always did that. And I did that to my destruction generally and to everybody else's. So I generally use the phrase that addiction molested my entire human experience. And that's kind of a strong phrase, but that's what it did for me. I felt like at 11, I was a very, rather innocent young boy. And addiction took me down a path that I never thought that I would go. And so when we talk about helping people with addiction, you've really got to deal on so many different levels, or you leave, if you leave a level undone, I think you leave a lot of room for lapses or relapses. And so we do deal with the spiritual issues. We deal with the financial issues. We deal with educational and employment, medical, clinical, just every aspect, legal. So we have on-site free college. We provide free academic classes through Gamblesville University while you're in treatment at Isaiah House. A lot of people that are in treatment today tend to think, well, it's a 30-day program and I'll be cured. And there is no cure. There just isn't a cure for it. But what we can do is help them find hope. And then after they find some hope and want to live again, then I think we can help them identify their purpose in life and then give them an opportunity to be used in that purpose. And so college and education is a crucial component of our program. We also have on-site welding classes. We have 10 welding stations that we installed in our vocational center, which is at our main campus. And we put 12 people a year or every 6 months through that welding program. We're about ready to start up with HVAC and plumbing, another collaboration that we've got going with Campbellsville University. We've got, I think, roughly 260 employees that take care of the 302 or 3 people that we have on our properties. We've got men and women at different centers. We've got a 92-bed center in Willisburg, a 16-bed center in Willisburg, We've got a 49-bed center in Chaplin, Kentucky, Nelson County. We have a 16-bed center in Mercer County, a 28-bed center in Woodford County. We have an outpatient clinic in Boyle County. And then we have 2 mat houses. We also provide medication-assisted treatment or therapy. We use mainly Suboxone and comfort meds, Vistaril, and that kind of stuff. And then we've got another 24 transitional living homes kind of throughout central Kentucky that once a person completes their inpatient residential part, they can move out into those transitional living homes.
Wow. So many things I want to say in response to that. You know, one of the things I want to mention to everybody who's listening is that Mark and his associates at Isaiah House invited Pam and me to show up at their first annual banquet last year. Was that like November 10th last year?
Yeah.
Yep. That just popped into my brain. I didn't look it up, but it seems like it was.
You have a good memory. Yeah.
It seems like that's when it was. And it was kind of mind-blowing to sit down at a dinner table, a circular table that would hold maybe 10 people. So, and there was a screen that was displaying people that were at their very worst, their strung out worst, pictures of people at their strung out worst, before and after pictures. And as I looked at one of the pictures that was being put up there, I said, boy, that face is really familiar. And I looked across the table, and it's a young man sitting across from me. And he looks, of course, totally different from when he was in the depths of his addiction. And he's sitting there with his wife and his parents. And it's just overwhelming, the feeling that you get from that, realizing that people can be literally brought back from the dead. And to be in that room with all those families and all the people that had been saved by these efforts was quite overwhelming. So I just wanted to let you know about that. You're having another banquet, I'm guessing, this year, or maybe not because of COVID.
Yeah, we're going to actually pass. We're trying to figure out a way to do it virtually, and we're not sure if we're going to be able to pull that together yet, Hank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look for the time when we can do that again. And I'm going to right now put the website back up so that anybody, first of all, if anybody is in need and wants to reach out, there's a phone number there, and you can get a look. You can go to this website, which I believe is isaiah-house.gov or no, .org.
.org.
.org. Isaiah-house.org. And that will give you anybody who's interested in looking at it. Now, there's another thing I want to show, which is a stat that I found, and I think you mentioned this when we talked a few days ago. The stat we're looking at that you can't see is one that I looked up, and it's from a government, a .gov website. National drug overdose deaths involving select prescription and illicit drugs. And the one that jumps up from about 2014 is synthetic narcotics other than methadone. So it's mainly fentanyl. And you mentioned that fentanyl has become just a massive, massive problem. Yeah. We're seeing an immense amount of overdoses. And with fentanyl, it really just takes literally, an amount that would fill the head of a pin that will kill you. And it's not just in heroin anymore. They're mixing it in methamphetamine, cocaine, even marijuana is showing up with some fentanyl in it. So it's just a very dangerous time. When I was doing drugs, I started doing drugs in 1972. So it was I guess a safer time. Today it's nothing to play with. It's literally Russian roulette. You just never know. What is fentanyl? Is it elephant tranquilizer or some? What is that stuff? That's carfentanil. Carfentanil is an elephant tranquilizer, but they are all synthetic, man-made opiates, and they're made. A lot of cancer patients had what we would call they were the fentanyl lollipops,
back in the 80s and 90s, but it's a very strong narcotic that takes away the pain. And it's got a valid usage. It's just that left into, when it gets into our hands, it tends to be misused.
I would guess. And where is it coming from?
Well, the illicit stuff seems to be coming from China. It seems to be coming from over the northern and southern borders. But who knows at this point, Hank? Right. It's something that is so prevalent today. It's we're in Willisburg, Kentucky. It's a town of 200 people, and it's in Willisburg. We're in Chaplin, Kentucky. It's a town of less than that, and it's in Chaplin, Kentucky. And so it's literally infiltrated, every sector of our state and of our country. There isn't anywhere you can go and not find it.
It's just mind-blowing. So what treatment is there for fentanyl? What do you do with, first of all, it seems like fentanyl's an especially dangerous one. I think, didn't Prince die from overuse of fentanyl patches? Yes.
Yeah. And that was going on long ago. I mean, we've had people that in hospitals and that were near end of life, maybe that would even they would suck on their fentanyl patches. And so that would put them in cardiac arrest and stop their breathing. And so they would die. But Prince did die of that. There is no, we've got the Lazarus drug, which tends to work. And so we provide that in all of our transitional living homes. We're blessed. I mean, we've been very, very fortunate with our component of treatment that we aren't seeing the rates of overdose deaths that a lot of other places are seeing. But we're well trained. We supply naloxone at all of our transitional living homes, and so we've been very, very fortunate. But they're dying left and right. They are, and it's sad. The treatment for it. You and I talked about methadone a little bit last week. I think that's a viable option for some people. Suboxone is another viable option for some people. It's no different, really, though, than treating heroin addiction. I mean, we don't treat. I don't understand the mindset of treating addictions differently. They basically all have the same core to them. So, like I was saying earlier, the vast majority of people that are coming through our doors are polysubstance abusers. So if we give them a 12-panel test, substance abuse test, they'll probably fail 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those drugs. And it's not uncommon. What is uncommon is somebody comes in and they just fail for opiates, or they just fail for fentanyl, or just alcohol. We just don't see that today. What we see today is a lot of cross addictions, a lot of polysubstance abuse. So, as we were talking about the methadone issue, while that will treat the opiate issue, a lot of us haven't dealt with the reasons of why we get high yet. And so while it may curb the opiate side, they'll go ahead and start using methamphetamine. And that's what we...
Yeah, and that brings up the point. Why do people go for substance abuse as a way to, ease their pain or ease their boredom or whatever? What are the social issues? Yeah. What are the paths that lead to this that you see?
Yeah, and that's why substance misuse is such an individualized, it needs an individualized treatment plan. There are a lot of people that will come in with traumas in their lives. I think, when you were there a couple of years ago, I think I introduced you to a guy named Pete. I'm pretty sure I did. And I don't know if you remember him or not, but he started using when he was 7 with his dad. Oh, and gosh. So, you've got those situations that really do take place, and it's not as uncommon as you would like it to be. You've got kids that are being, abused at, early ages, molested and physically and emotionally abused. And so you've got the trauma issue in their lives that can be a large component of that. I didn't have that in my life. Then you've got some of the other issues which we were seeing a great deal in the early 2000s on up to about 2014 and 15, and that was the overprescription of Lortabs and OxyContin. And so that, people would, legitimately need a narcotic for pain relief. And they didn't know that they had that propensity to become addicted. And they did. And it was a game changer for them. I actually had a 78-year-old man who came through our program that fell out of his motorhome, broke his back, was a business owner, was a deacon in his church, married for 50 years, who got addicted to OxyContin as a result of falling out of his motorhome, lost his business, lost his wife, wasn't a deacon anymore. And it just destroyed his life. Never, ever addicted to anything. For me, our treatment modality wants to do several things because we treat mostly people that are on Medicaid, or that are indigent, and so our average age is probably about 34 years old. They've been divorced. They've been through the court system. They may or may not have a high school education, and so number one is instilling hope. Right? You've got it because for me, Hank. And I'm going to keep saying that. For me, I used drugs because I didn't want to live. I didn't think life was worth living. And that was a lie. That was a lie that I was buying. And I just didn't feel worthy enough. I didn't feel good enough for whatever reasons, whether valid or not. That's the way I felt. And so I needed to find that hope in life, that life was really worth living. I think that a lot of us that abuse drugs actually just want to sometimes check out because we know, and especially today with knowing that fentanyl and carfentanil could be in it, you're just literally rolling the dice that you're going to live tonight or die tonight. So finding hope in life, I think, is a crucial thing. And then finding a purpose, without a purpose, we're prone to wander, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's crucial that we help these people find purpose. And I think the other thing is the opposite of addiction is relationship. We've got to develop healthy relationships for some of these people. And you and I had talked a little bit about last week about the different subsets maybe of people that use that are abusing drugs. You've got some high function users, right? Some high functioning people are out there that are using, and they're working and all of that, but they're still playing with the same gun I'm playing with, and so it doesn't matter if you're 50 years old and successful and you're doing really well, but if you're doing heroin today or cocaine or methamphetamine today, you're using the same weapon that I'm using, and the chances of you dying are just as good as the chances of me dying.
We're also going through a particularly stressful time because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Are you seeing any uptick or any changes in anything related to the stress of the pandemic?
Yeah, we've seen about a 20 to 30% increase in our calls, our demand for treatment.
Oh my goodness.
And so again, though, we were very, very fortunate that we've got a great staff. They all stayed at work. Nobody went home. We were all essential employees. And so everybody showed up every day. We kept all our services open. The thing that was really difficult for us is we guarantee full-time employment after day 100 for people that are in our program that long. And so we literally had 100 people that were working and living in our transitional living environment that were laid off on the same day. And so what we had to do was try to find a way to bring them services that we weren't used to providing at all. So we actually had to hire people and provide a deeper level of service for those people that had lost their jobs and now we're stuck at home. We've seen a large increase in suicide attempts in our outpatient clinics. We've got a lot of people that are calling that are just so despondent, so depressed. And of course, the guarantee of unemployment didn't come through as quickly. Those people couldn't get their food stamps as quickly as what we had hoped that they could get them. And so they were just really in a bad spot. It's been a real, perfect storm.
Are you, have you caught up? Do you have your ears above water?
No.
Right.
No. Yeah. We haven't even opened our women's center in Versailles yet. It's due to be open within a week or two. And we've got a 36 person waiting list on that. And it's not open yet. It's just killing me because I know that those people are literally dying waiting to get in.
Are there ways to contribute to Isaiah House?
Yeah, absolutely. On our website, there is a donate button. We are a nonprofit. We are a state licensed facility. We're nationally accredited with CARF. We were recently named Newsweek's. I don't know if you knew this or not, but we were recently named Newsweek's one of Kentucky's top 5 treatment facilities, and we were named one of the best in Lexington. So yeah, go to our website and there's a donate button there, or you can just send a check. Also on Amazon, we're going through a tremendous amount of cleaning supplies, so Lysol and any kind of disinfectants, Germex, that kind of stuff. If you go on Amazon, you can just type in the Isaiah House and it'll lead you to how to buy supplies for us there.
I've put up the webpage so that people could see it, and I encourage anyone who's hearing this to please go and donate a couple of bucks at least, to Isaiah House. This is, one of the mind-blowing things. This takes us back to your board meeting, because as an outsider, you come into this world of, a group of people that are dedicated to providing rehab, and it shocked me the number of places you have to seek income from. And I think it was 12 or 15 sources. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's, we have a sick system. It's not really designed to help people succeed. It's really kind of designed to help people stay in the system. It's just enough help to get them above water. But then once they're above water, we don't help them stay above water. So the average length of insurance pay for Medicaid is about 28 days. That's the maximum that they will pay for a client to stay in treatment and pay for that. If you've got private insurance today, it's about 17 and a half days. And we all know, if I've got a lifetime history of polysubstance abuse and I haven't been able to hold down a job or stay in a relationship, most of us are dual diagnosis. So we've got co-occurring disorders. It's not just addiction, right? There are anxiety disorders, bipolar, depression. All of that is coinciding at the same time. And so we all know that 17 to 28 days just isn't enough. And so anytime somebody stays at Isaiah House for more than 28 days, it's because somebody donated. It's because somebody cared enough to say, I'm going to make a way for that person to stay just a little bit longer. And there's no magic number either, Hank. I think a lot of the science today proves that if a person has been sober for about 2 years, that their neuroreceptors are working correctly again. And that does seem to be a sort of a magic number. But you can't keep somebody for 2 years in treatment. That's just too long. So we try to aim for about 6 to 11 months. Hopefully we've gotten them a good job by then. We've gotten them engaged in another healthy community. It's incumbent upon us in treatment to develop healthy, safe places. And once we do that, it's incumbent upon us to find that client another healthy, safe place. Because if we just discharge them onto their own or onto the streets, we fail them.
Yeah, they're not going to last long, I would think, without support.
That's correct.
And let's be clear, correct. Someone who's an addict affects, 3 other people easily?
Yes, easily. Yeah.
Now, there's another thing that Isaiah House does that I'm not sure if anyone gathered, which is you mentioned that you guarantee employment. One of the ways you do that is you ended up starting some businesses because you couldn't find enough work for people that had gone through the process. So as I recall, you started a landscaping business and a small construction business. And did you also do a custodial services business?
We do, yeah. We've also, and we actually bought the sheet metal company. So we have several social enterprises that we started up or purchased, and all of the profits from that go back into long-term treatment, providing long-term treatment beds. So we've got Howard's Metal Company. If you're putting up sheet metal roofs or siding, Howard's Metal Company in Chaplin. We've got a very large sheet metal company, and they collaborate with our Reliance Works Property Maintenance Company, which is out of Danville. And Reliance Works Property Maintenance does the custodial, it does the landscaping, and it does the construction all out of that office. We actually mow about 400 to 500 acres a week, and they can do. Our construction company can do houses from the ground up.
That's just incredible.
It was so important because if you've got guys that have if they haven't worked, Hank, in 6 months or a year, and they go and they apply for a job, and they say, well, where have you been for the last 6 months? Well, you just lose. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? And so It's kind of, well, I've been in jail. Well, that's stigmatizing, right? That means that you probably won't get that job. Or, well, I've been in treatment. So we keep them employed, and it gives them that job history. It gives them a continuity of job history. And if they want to stay with us, that's great. They start out, actually, I love what we do with that. They start out at minimum wage while they're in treatment, probably $7.25 to $8 an hour. By the time they graduate, they'll be at $11 an hour, but they get the same benefits that I get the day that they start. So they'll be in treatment for maybe day 90, day 100. They'll get about $8 an hour. They get free life insurance. They get dental. They get vision. 90 days, they get health insurance. They can come off Medicaid. They're off of food stamps at that point. And then at month 11, if they're still with us, they get access to our 401k program. And so it's really set up, to help them succeed.
That's incredible. And I think you also mentioned that sometimes some of the folks do so well that they end up starting their own businesses.
They do. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? It is. I love it. I love what I do.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah. 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 We have another program that we just started, and I don't think we had talked about this, but when they get out of treatment, their credit history isn't always so great.
Isn't great. Right.
Yeah. So they might have a 400 credit score. And so we've started with a $100,000 commitment to a CD at a local bank where we will allow the alumni to borrow against that CD. And so they can borrow $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for college or for a car. And so they can buy a $3,000 or $4,000 car, and they get it at 3% interest instead of going up there. And it builds their credit, because this is such a comprehensive issue, and it demands a comprehensive solution.
Wow. I'm a little bit overwhelmed with all that you all are accomplishing. It's amazing, and yet I also see the mountain that you are up against. I also want to share with everybody who's listening. They're listening because I'm running for Congress, and the election's coming up. I wanted to share with everybody that I got a phone call from Mark, and it was just an encouraging phone call the day before the election in 2018. And Mark, you just called up and just wished me well. And it was such a thoughtful thing out of such a busy person, that just really touched me. So thank you.
Well, you made, and you made such an impact on me. I am rather conservative. I know that we're on the opposite end of the political spectrum. I did vote for you, Hank.
Well, I was going to let you say that. You told me that you were going to do that, but I didn't want to. Yeah. I wanted you to keep your secret if you wanted to.
And I did that because I believe in you. And I believe that you are a man of integrity and a man of character. And while we don't necessarily see eye to eye on every issue, I think that you are somebody that sees the compromise in some things, and you try to find that common ground that that we can reach. Right now we're so polarized, it seems like we're not getting anywhere. And so I think it's crucial at a time like today that we find people that are have enough integrity and character to find that middle road, that common ground.
Well, that's where we have to go as a nation, and that's certainly the job. You know, I don't know if I explained this to you, but there's a recent development at the KDP, the Kentucky Democratic Party, which is they've set up 2 new advisory groups. One is the Black Caucus, and the other is the Rural Council. And I'm currently the chair of the Rural Council. And
awesome.
I'm already coming up with the idea of recruiting maybe someone who's willing to help work, who's a graduate of your program, because I think the voice of the folks that have been through this, or the families that have been through this, needs to be included in discussions of the way forward for states like Kentucky, and actually for the whole country. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that brings up a whole other issue about, you know, rural versus inner city, and the treatment, you know, options that are available in all of those different places, because they need to be, you know, there need to be accessible treatment to those people that are in the rural areas. When COVID happened, you know, we ended up setting up a lot of telehealth in our transitional living homes, and there's just not enough service.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
There's just no service, and it was very difficult to get those people treatment.
You mean in terms of broadband service? It was
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
30% of the country doesn't have broadband, and you know, one of the gentlemen who works for our campaign, we have a lot of volunteers working for our campaign, and one of them is a musician who's the bass player for the group America. Do you remember that band?
I love that band.
Right. And those guys have been, I've worked for them, and I've done records with them and been friends with them for quite some time. Well, Rich Campbell is working for our campaign, and Rich came up with a wonderful idea, which is that as we move forward modernizing the post office, perhaps the post office as a federal agency should be in charge of installing, maintaining, and, you know, taking care of rural broadband. It's a federal agency that could make sure they could get the rights to put some pieces on your property. And since the post office's job is communication and connection throughout the United States, it just seems like a great idea. And we pitched that to Congressman John Yarmouth from Louisville, and he expressed some interest in it. So
I love that. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Isn't that a great idea? It's a
great idea.
Hats off to Rich Campbell. Well, Mark, thank you so much, and I hope you will come back. I think we could dig deeper into this. I have to tell you, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I feel like a pail of water that's full because of all you've told me, and that's fantastic. Thanks for giving us all this information and giving us some idea what you're up to, and we really appreciate you.
Well, buddy, we Tammy and I love you and Pam, and we appreciate you both, and we're praying for you both, and just appreciate the opportunity to be on here.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Well, that is just a little bit overwhelming. Thank you all for staying on so long. We really went over, but I think that's great. Thanks for being here. Yes, if you get a chance, please go to Isaiah House and send him a couple of bucks. Mark is quite a force of nature, and it's really inspiring to see the work that they have done. Thank you all for being here today. Hey, we got some new outro music I'm going to play for you. And so here we go. Remember, we're talking about getting angry. And just because we're getting angry, we don't want to lose our damn minds. We want to use our anger to focus our determination to do the thing that's right. And we got a lot of work to do to straighten out the problems we're facing. All right. Thank you all for being here, and I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got John Winkleman talking to us about single-payer health care. We'll see you then.